Drivers were caught manipulating the surge for Uber and Lyft, and the companies say that you will get booted if you do that. Although there is, of course, a little bit of irony to that statement. Hey everyone, this is Kevin the Apptrepreneur, and we haven't talked about surge manipulation in a while. And we haven't because I didn't think it was worth it to do it anymore. I mean, the whole process of surge manipulation, and I know I'm telling you how to do it, but of course, full disclosure, I don't recommend you do this, let's make it absolutely clear, is the process in which a bunch of people come together, a bunch of drivers, they all turn off their apps, wait for the demand in the surge to go up, then they turn their apps back on. Surge manipulations. They're basically fooling the algorithm, which happens all the time, whether it be YouTube, Steam, whatever. Well, according to Yahoo, Lyft says that's not cool, and you will lose your job if you do that. So, what's going on here? Well, ride-sharing drivers who tamper with surge pricing will face being deactivated after a report revealed that the ride-share drivers at a Washington, D.C. airport coordinated to boost fares, Lyft said. The statement came after a report from ABC affiliate WJLA alleging that Lyft and Uber drivers at Reagan National Airport organized to turn off their apps until the prices for rides surged enough to deem the fares worthwhile. Quote, all the airplanes, we know when they land, so 5 minutes before, we turn all our apps off. All of us at the same time. One driver who did not want to be identified for obvious reasons. All of us, we turn our apps off. They surge $10, $12, sometimes $19. Then we turn our app on. Everyone will get a surge. Now, before we continue, I am going to explain that yes, if there is surge manipulation going on, the airport would by far be the easiest place to do it. Because they put all of the drivers in one area, and some of them are there every day. They probably get to know one another. And they get out. They do have the plane schedules. They know when they're landing. And so everyone just turns off the app. You know what? Hey, it's independent contractor. We can turn off the app whenever we want. And then they kind of just play the waiting game. They watch. They see the surge go up. Then they all turn it on. Because why not? That's what they do. Again, it's not wrong. It's not good to do that. I'm not saying you should actually do that. Please don't do that. Especially as soon as it get deactivated. The drivers who spoke to WJLA said they hack surge pricing because their pay has gotten so low they can't cover expenses. Quote, Uber doesn't pay us enough. What the company is doing is defrauding all these people by taking 35 to 40%. They are taking all this money because there's no system of accountability. Now, here's the thing. I do want to point out, I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit. Surge manipulation was going on long before Uber and Lyft cut the prices and cut the rates and started doing this. In fact, 2.5 years ago, there was another story where a bunch of drivers were getting together. They were doing this very system. They were manipulating the surge. They were causing it to start, and Uber and Lyft found out, and they deactivated them. And that was when the rates were good. That's when they were making like about $1.75 a mile and 20 cents a minute. So there was no excuse for it then. They just wanted more money. Now, we are in a situation where they're making less money, and that extra $10, $12, $19, whatever it is, could go a long way to helping those people out. But even if it wasn't sucky pay, I think people would be doing this. It's just, that's how people work with algorithms. When they see an algorithm and they know they can fool it, they get to it. Last week, Lyft and Uber drivers around the world went on strike. Okay, yeah, that's probably not important. The price of manipulating surge pricing is not necessarily new, said Lior Zell-Menson, a professor at the University of Haifa in Israel, who researches the ride-sharing economy. His team studied rideshare drivers from 2016 to 2017. Quote, back then we found some incidents where drivers attempted to coordinate online and create surges by avoiding certain areas, thus creating a surge of drivers, which leads to an increase in prices. Interestingly, the surge hacking was not denied by Drive United, an ad hoc union for rideshare drivers. Now, I don't think this is the Rideshares United. I think this is something else. For years, our wages have been declining, resulting in many drivers being unable to afford health insurance or to feed their families. Just last week, drivers in Washington, D.C. came around the world, protested to demand a living wage from rideshare companies. With that demand still unentered, it should surprise no one that the drivers are finding ways to work together with Uber and Lyft's terms to make enough money to cover their basic needs. We encourage the media to look deeper into Uber and Lyft's unsustainable business model and the difficulties drivers face every day. In a statement, Lyft told ABC News, Lyft takes any allegations of fraudulent behavior very seriously, as it violates our community guidelines and can lead to deactivation from the Lyft platform. Uber also told NBC, this behavior is neither widespread or permissible on the Uber platform, and we have technical safeguards in place to help prevent it from happening. Zalmanson agreed, saying only the Uber company can detect these patterns for something close to certain. Given their machine learning capabilities, I would have to assume they might know when a surge feels produced and when it isn't. So it says the story continues. Is there really anything more? There is one more paragraph. He added that there are reasons drivers may feel compelled to take matters into their own hands. Quote, when drivers feel isolated from both company and peers, when they feel the company calls them partners but keeps increasing their commission, when they feel the system is an opaque black box whose choices they can't understand and they interpret it as if it tries to hurt their wages, it sometimes ends up in them regaining a sense of control by attempting to game the system for their benefit. It's not always the case, of course, and with Uber's strict surveillance, that's not a lot they can do, but they do try. Yeah, I don't doubt that people just want more money from this. I mean, they've wanted it for years. Heck, when the fares were good, again, I told you, people manipulated the surge. Here's the irony, of course. I think it's really, how should I put this? Hypocritical of Uber and Lyft to be saying this. Saying that you can't manipulate the surge. That is against the terms of service. You will get booted if you do that. Now, before I continue, of course, I'm going to stress again, because I want people to not misunderstand me on this, I don't recommend manipulating the surge. First of all, it's really not that much more money, and you're putting your job at risk if you really care about this. And it's wrong to the passengers. The passengers shouldn't have to pay, a surge that they don't have to. It's just rotten all around. Here's where it's, of course, ironic, because Uber and Lyft saying that you are not allowed to manipulate the surges is one of those classic examples of the kettle calling the pot black. Because Uber and Lyft manipulate the surge themselves, and they do it far worse than what the drivers do. In fact, there's two major ways that Uber and Lyft manipulate the surges. Number one, they charge this much of a surge, and they show this much of a surge to the drivers. They pay the drivers this much of a surge, this is how much they're charging. That's one way that they manipulate the surge. The other way they manipulate the surge, of course, is that with the upfront pricing, where now you are given like, hey, you're being given an extra $10 for this ride. Isn't Uber generous? Meanwhile, Uber's charging $32 for the surge. That strikes me as surge manipulation. And that is not only taken out of the driver's pockets, it is being taken out of the passenger's pockets as well. So here's the thing. I wasn't making a lot of videos this weekend because it's been well known. Katie had to go to the emergency room. She's doing fine now. Thank you for all your well wishes, by the way. And here's one advantage to getting to the story late. I saw fellow friends talk about this and deriding the drivers for doing it. Now, of course, again, it's wrong. The drivers who do this are wrong. Let's make that absolutely clear. But let's also not pretend that Uber and Lyft don't break their own rules. Uber and Lyft manipulate the surge on two levels, daily basis, every trip that they can, and they get away with it. They get away with it. And here they are saying, what? You mean the surge is being preposterous? So most unorthodox, I tell you. No. You get rid of them. We are a respectable company. We have our mustaches. We have our canes. We have $42 billion. We are respectable. We are dignified. We manipulate the surge as well. Not that anyone else need acknowledge that. We can do that, but they can't. Those peasant ants, those peasant drivers. They have no right to extra money that we legally steal from them. That's what this is. That's what this is. So here's the thing. Yes, the drivers are wrong. I'm not mad at them, though. I'm not. I mean, yeah. Because the drivers get screwed all the time. And, you know, I was mad at them 2.5 years ago when it's like, dude, you're getting paid well. This is a good gig. Like, why are you doing this? I understand a lot more now, but more importantly, Uber and Lyft do the very things they're telling the drivers not to do, and they do it way worse. So no, I don't feel sorry for Uber and Lyft. I mean, I definitely believe them when they say that you will be deactivated, and if you don't want to get deactivated, don't do this. I mean, if you want to do this for a good extended amount of time, you've got maybe a few weeks you can get away with this, and then they're going to catch on. Because a machine always does. They always figure it out. It's not worth it if you want to do this for the next few years. It's just really ironic. You know, really makes you bite your tongue to hear Uber and Lyft saying, you can't manipulate the surge, that's against the terms of service. They do it all the time. That's what I've got to say about that. Don't do it. Don't recommend it. But not really mad that you're doing it either. We'll put it that way. So anyway, that's where I stand on this. But where do you folks think about this? I know this is like an egregious offense for a lot of people out there. So if that's one of you, I'd like to hear what you think about this. What's more, if you don't feel that way, I'd also like to know what you think about that. So comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe. If you enjoy my videos, consider becoming a Patreon member. It's totally optional, of course, but even as little as $1 a month goes a long way to helping the channel run smoothly, and you get access to my Patreon's exclusive blog. Also, with gas prices on the rise, check out the GetUpside app below. It's totally free, and you get cash back on every gas purchase you make. Also, check out the Apptrepreneur vlogs. We're trying to upload daily content to the best of our abilities, and the Apptrepreneur Hangouts on Facebook if you want to talk to me or other fellow rideshare people. And as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.